It's a beautiful day with crystal clear blue skies in Baltimore. It's Game 3 of a 3-game series from Camden Yards between the Red Sox and the Baltimore Orioles. Welcome inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Don Orsillo, as always, joined by Jerry Remy. Welcome to Red Sox baseball. Well, the Red Sox won Game 1 of the series, lost last night, and it's how they lost last night, and certainly some concern over the Red Sox closer, Koji Uehara.
I would agree, Don. Big concern about Uehara because the fact is right now he's a one-pitch pitcher, and that's a split-fingered fastball. The velocity on his fastball is down to about 84, 85 miles an hour, and he's very reluctant to throw it right now. The only time he throws it is to really waste a pitch. So what hitters are doing is just sitting on that splitter and waiting till they get a flat one that's up in the zone and making him pay for it like they did last night. Last night, David Lowe comes up, he gets a high split-fingered fastball from Uehara and takes it out of the ballpark. And, you know, one of the reasons that maybe his velocity is down is he didn't pitch a lot in spring training. I don't think it's time to give up on Uehara as a closer right now, but that fastball velocity has to increase. He needs 2 pitches to be successful, not just one.
The Red Sox trying to win the series here today against the Baltimore Orioles. Mike Napoli be back in the lineup today for Boston. Last night getting his first home run of 2015, along with a 3-hit night. He's back in there. Red Sox and Orioles from Camden Yards coming your way next. Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. Toyota's website for deals via Toyota.com. Digital Federal Credit Union, see what DCU can save you. Your local Subaru dealers. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at Southwest.com. Welcome back to Camden Yards in Baltimore as the Red Sox and Orioles continue this 3-game series today. The finale of the series today. The Orioles have taken the field, so let's check out the Red Sox starting lineup. It's brought to you by your Eastern Hyundai dealers. Mookie Betts leading it off in center field with Dustin Pedroia at second base, batting second. Pablo Sandoval at third base, bats third with Hanley Ramirez, the DH. Mike Napoli at first base with Brock Holt in left field, batting sixth. Alan Craig in right bat seventh with Xander Bogaerts at shortstop eighth and Sandy Leon catching the day game after the night game. Today's Orioles starting pitchers presented by your New England Nissan dealers. Bud Norris on the mound, and it has been a rocky beginning to say the least as the Orioles are hoping he can turn things around here today. His 4th start of the year, 0-2 with a 17.42 earned run average, as he has given up 18 hits in 10 1/3 innings. Opponents hitting at .375 against him, and tough to get much tougher than this last outing against the Blue Jays. 2 1/3 innings, 6 hits, and 9 runs allowed by Norris.
Today's Oriole defense is brought to you by DraftKings. They're 11th in the American League, 13 errors in 18 games. Manny Machado will be at third base. Everett
Cabrera, the shortstop, Ray Navarro at second, and Chris Davis, the first baseman, left to right. Steve Pearce, Adam Jones, and Delman Young. And Ryan Labonte gets the start behind the plate, catching Norris.
Bud Norris getting himself set here atop the hill for the Orioles as Mookie Betts stands in. Lots of sunshine here today as Bud Norris deals with the first pitch of the ball game, and it's in there for strike one, and we're underway. Mookie Betts trying to get back on track offensively as he starts today, hitting at .203, 2 homers and 9 runs batted in.
Now the Red Sox today will see the fastball, the breaking ball, and the changeup. A lot of fastballs from Bud Norris.
On the ground, foul outside of third base, and it's 1-2 here to Mookie Betts.
He's made 5 career starts against the Red Sox. He's 1-2 with a 3.41 ERA against Boston teams.
That'll bounce in, and it's 2-2. Good numbers for Norris against the American League East. 9-2, the 4.70 earned run average in his last 15 starts against AL East opponents. Dates back to April of last year. And the Orioles are 13-2 in those 15 starts he's made against the AL East. A little bit high, and it's a full count now to Betts. 2 starts at home this season. He has been beat up. In 8 innings pitched, 11 earned runs. On the ground to third, to the backhand goes Machado. Long throw, and it's in time to get Mookie Betts. Well, the umpiring crew here today, Toby Basner has the plate with Chris Conroy at first base, Dana DeMuth at second base, and Will Little is the umpire at third. Today's weather is brought to you by Benjamin Moore. Paint like no other. For a store near you, go to benjaminmoore.com. 62 degrees. Breeze in from left at 5 miles per hour and partly cloudy. The forecast, but right now lots of sunshine, lots of blue sky above. And a pitch in there for strike one to Dustin Pedroia. 239, 4 homers and 9 runs batted in for Pedroia. Been a quiet road trip for the most part for Dustin. He is 3 for 21 on the trip. And of course this trip started in St. Petersburg, where the Red Sox took on the Rays, and now extends here to Baltimore. David Ortiz on the bench today to begin the ball game. Certainly available to come off the bench, but Pablo Sandoval batting third in the Red Sox order and waiting on deck as Pedroia fouls it off to the left out of play. Tough loss last night for the Red Sox and for John Farrell. As it worked out, Red Sox had taken the lead in the top half of the 10th inning after tying it up in the 9th, only to lose it in the bottom of the 10th inning in dramatic fashion for the Orioles. Xander Bogaerts had given the Red Sox a lead with his home run in the top of the 10th inning, and Koji Uehara could not seal the deal. Two pitch to Pedroia, and a fly ball out to center field. Adam Jones is calling. Battles the sun, but makes the catch for out number 2 of this first inning. Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, the official hospital of the Boston Red Sox, never forgets that before you're a patient, you're a person. Beth Israel Deaconess, human first. Learn more at bidmc.org/human first. 2 down here in the top of the first inning, and here is Pablo Sandoval. He's been hitting in the 6th spot the last couple of days, but with David on the bench to begin the game, Sandoval bats third. Sandoval on the trip 4 for 19. Framed there by Ryan Lavarnway appeared to be a pretty good pitch right down the middle, but called the ball 2-0.
I don't know how the umpire Bosna missed this one. I mean, he's looking right at it, and it's right down the middle of the plate.
Ball 3-0. Norris shaking his head out there on the mound. The way things have gone for him this year, he needs some help.
They don't expect him to be in the rotation very long. He has had his struggles, and if they continue, he could be out quickly.
Ball 4 and a 4-pitch walk for Pablo Sandoval. A 2-out base runner here for the Red Sox in the first inning, and it'll give Hanley Ramirez a chance. Hanley 4 for 8 in the series against Baltimore so far. Had a 2-hit night last night, and that average .292, 6 homers and 13 runs batted in. Chris Davis holding on Sandoval at first base. In the dirt and gathered by Lavarnway. Able to block it. Lavarnway catching the day game after the night game. Caleb Joseph with the day off. Ramirez on the trip, 7 for 17. And so far on the road for the Red Sox, hitting at .357. Back up the middle, but positioned perfectly was Navarro. He goes to first with the throw in time. Red Sox leave a runner. Orioles coming up. Last of the first inning as the Red Sox don't score in the top of the first inning against Bud Norris, and it is Everett Cabrera to lead it off here for the Orioles in the bottom of the first inning. Wade Miley deals and misses down low for ball 1. His Red Sox starting pitcher presented by your local New England Audi dealers. Experience the all-new Audi A3 today. Fourth start from Miley, 1-1. As he deals with a strike to even the count at 1-1. 6.08 ERA so far for Miley. When it's hitting at .240 against him. Walks have been an issue with 9 on the year.
As I mentioned before in the pregame show, there's not a lot of history between the Orioles and Miley, but Cabrera is one of those guys. .476 with a home run against Wade Miley.
Only his second career start against Baltimore. Last time he was a member of the Arizona Diamondbacks and faced them at Chase Field back in 2013. Allowed 4 earned runs in 7 innings. Cabrera grounds it to third base. Pablo Sandoval without number 1 at the bottom of the first inning. Let's check out the rest of the Orioles starting lineup, brought to you by your New England Chevy dealers. Everett Cabrera at shortstop. Manny Machado at third base with Adam Jones in center. Delvin Young in the cleanup spot today in right field with Chris Davis at first base. Steve Pearce in left with Jimmy Paredes, the DH, batting 7th. Ryan Lavarnway does the catching 8th, and Ray Navarro at second base bats 9th. 1 down here in the first inning for Manny Machado. Batting down in the order for the most part of this series, but moves up to the 2 spot today. Buck Showalter's Orioles snapping a 5-game losing streak here last night in dramatic fashion with a walk-off home run by David Lowe. There's a pop-up, a shallow right, sending Pedroia out. Craig in, and Craig makes the catch for the second out of the inning.
The Red Sox defense is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. They are 7th in the league with 10 errors in 18 games. Pablo Sandoval at third base, Xander Bogaerts the shortstop, Dustin Pedroia at second, Mike Napoli the first baseman, left to right, Brock Holt, Mookie Betts, Alan Craig, and Sandy Leon doing the catching for Miley.
2 down here in the bottom of the first inning, and it brings up Adam Jones. Center fielder hitting at .412, 5 home runs and 16 runs batted in. He is the major league leader right now in batting average. So he starts his game hitting at .412. A little bit inside, a ball and a strike now to Jones. Fourth start now for Miley, and 3 of the 4 have been away from Fenway Park. It's at New York, we got a no decision. At Tampa Bay, where he got a win, and now today at Baltimore. His only home appearance did not go well in Fenway Park, and 2 1/3 innings, giving up 7 runs to the Washington Nationals in his Fenway Park debut. Jones grounds one on a couple of hops to Bogaerts. And Wade Miley enjoys a 1-2-3 first inning. No score from 1. West.com. Scoreless as we head to the second inning, but before we get started, let's send it down to Sarah Davis.
Well, Brock Holt is starting in left field for the first time this season. It's the 5th position he started this year. And when I asked him, what does he do to prepare when he comes to the park every day to play all sorts of different kinds of positions? He said last year is what really helped him out. Before then, he hadn't played in the outfield. So all the experience he had last season really set him up for this year, so that now when he comes to the park, he'll have a conversation with first base coach Arnie Baylor, and then he simply put it, he either takes his infield glove out or his outfield glove.
Always ready, and he may be somewhere different every day. As long as he's in that starting lineup, he doesn't really seem to mind, as he will bat second in the second inning. Mike Napoli, then Brock Holt, and Alan Craig expected to bat in the inning. Napoli getting his first home run of 2015 here last night. Taking it the other way and off the pole. Hitting at 183. 4 RBIs to go along with that home run. Had a 3-hit performance here last night. A home run for Napoli. He had 6 of them during spring training, but it took until April the 25th to get his first one of the regular season. Foul tipped and held on to by Ryan Lavarnway. Red Sox looking for their first hit today. Sandoval with a 2-out walk in the first inning before Hanley Ramirez grounded out. The start today very important for Bud Norris. Jerry, you alluded to earlier that he is right now kind of his job up in the air here in the rotation heading into this.
Well, they got Gausman in the bullpen who could come in and do the starting pitching if they need him.
Good start so far. First strikeout of the game for Norris. He gets Napoli.
Yeah, a little bit of run on this fastball inside. They wanted to go away, but it stays inside, and Napoli with no contact. But they can't put up performances like Norris has had so far this season and keep him in the rotation.
There's Kevin Gausman, who has been very good out of the bullpen and certainly was a good starter. They have depth in that area. One down for Brock Holt. Holt's at .424 with a home run, 8 runs batted in. 2 for 7 so far on the road trip. Another strike, and he's down 0-2. Brock, a big part of Friday night's 7-5 victory for the Red Sox. Turned out to be a game-winning 3-run home run in Friday night's game. Alan Craig waiting on deck. Red Sox batting here in the visiting half of the second inning. Holt lines it into center field for a base hit. He got down on the count 0-2 and is able to get a base hit into center. First hit of the day for Boston.
Yeah, Norris ahead in the count, then he leaves a cookie out over the plate right there, and a hard line drive, topspin line drive by Holt up the middle for the base hit.
So 1 out and 1 on. It brings up Alan Craig. 154 start to his season, no homers and a run batted in. Makes his 5th start of the season, his 3rd start in right field. Made 1 at left and 1 at first base. And speaking of first base, Holt diving back or leaping back to the bag to get onto it.
Brock Holt, 1 steal on the season, has not been caught.
Holt with a start and a stop at first as Craig takes the strike.
I think those guys that can run will probably take a chance today against Lavarnway behind the plate.
In the air to center field, Adam Jones has it lined up. Makes the catch for out number 2 of the second inning. Well, sports can bring you to the edge of your seat and to your feet. It should always bring you to NESN.com, the region's #1 sports site with comprehensive Red Sox coverage and the most Bruins content in New England. Get video and podcasts found only on NESN.com. 2 outs here in the second inning with Brock Holt at first base and Xander Bogaerts the batter. Just shy of 300 at 298 with a home run and 9 runs batted in for Xander. For the first, and Holt back to the bag again. This time he does dive back. Bogaerts taking the strike, the fastball at 93, and last night in the top of the 10th inning, first pitch Brad Brock threw, Bogaerts took out of the yard. His first home run of the year gave the Red Sox a lead in extra innings, only to see the Orioles walk off with a win in the bottom of the 10th inning. Holt another start and stop, and Bogaerts diving at third. Machado gets up and throws out Xander Bogaerts. Manny Machado with a great play at third base. Wraps up the top of the second, scoreless after an inning and a half. Longest start of the season last time out, allowing 0 earned runs in 5 2/3 innings after combining to allow 9 earned runs in 7 2/3 innings in his first 2 starts of the season. And a 1-2-3 first here in his 4th start of the season. And ready to deal with 4, 5, and 6 for Baltimore here in the bottom of the second inning. Delman Young, Chris Davis, and Steve Pearce expected, and Young off to a good start at 344. No homers and 2 runs batted in. Young 2 for 4 in the ball game last night, as he jumps back out of the way of a pitch inside, and Miley falls behind 2-0. Young appearing in 4 postseason games last year for the Orioles. Pitch in there for a strike. You may remember he delivered a 3-run home run, a pinch hit double in the 8th inning. American League Division Series last year, Game 2. Gave the Orioles the 7-6 lead at the time, and now it's a high fly ball out to right center field. Mookie Betts battles the sun out there and drops the baseball. Glances off the glove. Craig will pick it up, but standing at second base is Young. Betts losing it in the sun. Had a part of his glove, but he couldn't make the catch and is charged with an error.
I think the reason for the error is because he did get a glove on it, but there's no doubt that he had trouble seeing this ball. He's calling for it. The sunglasses on, and right at the last minute he turns his head which obviously means he lost it in the sun right there, and it clanks right out of the glove. So a break there for the Orioles.
Now Chris Davis hitting at 242. 3 homers and 10 runs batted in. A shift on the right side of the infield as Davis fouls it back, and it evens at 1-1. There's the shift with Xander Bogaerts coming to the right side of the infield. Only Pablo Sandoval on the left side. They had retired the first 3 Orioles he had faced today. That's losing the ball in the sun out there in right center field. Has Delmon Young at second base. 3-1. Davis 2 for 6 in the series against the Red Sox. Did homer in the first game of the series. Now it's a fly ball to center again. Betts going back, and this time makes the catch. Delmon Young tags, heads for third base, and he will get there without a problem standing. They're looking to provide a once-in-a-lifetime experience for you and your guests. Visit redsox.com/premium sales to learn more about Red Sox suites and premium packages.
Good job right there by Russ Davis getting that ball, Chris Davis, I should say, getting that ball deep enough to center field to get that man at third base with less than 2 outs.
Runner at third, 1 down. Steve Pearce with the infield in all the way around now for the Red Sox, and Pearce not waiting around. Fly ball to left where Holt will make the catch. Tagging is Young. The throw from Holt from left field to be cut off, and the Orioles grab the game's first run. Baltimore on top 1-0, and a sac fly for Steve Pearce.
Now 3 fly balls this inning and 1 run across. So 1 lost to the sun by Mookie Betts, 1 to move over the runner, and the 3rd one to get him in. Holt knows he has no play at the plate, just gets it into the cutoff man, and Baltimore takes the 1-0 lead.
Base is empty now. Jimmy Paredes moving down in the order. It was a triple shy for hitting for the cycle here last night. 400 average so far. 3 homers and 6 runs batted in. All he's done in the series go 4 for 5. I checked that. 5 for 10 in the series. 4 for 5 last night. Last night's 4-hit performance, a new career high for him. And a swing and a miss.
He's a switch hitter. This is only his 3rd at bat from the right side of the plate this season.
In the air to shallow left center field. Betts and Holt. It'll be Brock Holt who cuts in front of Betts to make the catch. It ends the inning. Orioles get a run, take a 1-0 lead. Federal Credit Union. Tomorrow at 5:30, TC Eck and Steve Lyons will break down the Blue Jays lineup and preview Joe Kelly's start. DCU, Digital Federal Credit Union. What can DCU save you? Well, a miscue in center field. Really a ball that Mookie Betts lost in the sun. And Delmon Young able to get to third base on a fly ball and score on a fly ball and a sacrifice fly. It's 1-0 Orioles. Sandy Leon takes strike one. 3 for 15 so far for Leon. And followed by Betts and Pedroia here in the third inning. To center, Adam Jones back a step or two for the first out of the third inning. Center fielder, number 15, Mookie Betts. One down, and Mookie Betts coming up. Mookie grounded out to Manny Machado. Made a great play at third base in the first inning.
And Machado's already made a couple of very nice plays in this game at third base. Surprising to look at his numbers, and he has 4 errors on the season already, but he's a top quality third baseman.
Outfield straight away here on Mookie Betts. And Betts will take a pitch, close pitch that is called the ball. Norris has wanted a few. Home plate umpire Toby Basner that he's not gotten so far. To short this time, and Everett Cabrera plays the high hop and throws out Betts. 2 down. Here comes Dustin Pedroia. Dustin flying out to Adam Jones in center field in the first inning. 0 for 1. There's ball one from Bud Norris. Norris, 30 years old, from Houston, Texas. Of course, with the Astros for 5 seasons. This is a fair ball by Manny Machado down the left field line to the corner. Pedroia headed for second base, dug out by Steve Pearce, and Pedroia rounding second base. A 2-out double. Second hit of the ball game for Boston.
Well, they pitched him in the first at bat. They pitch him in again here, and this time Pedroia cleans it out. The ball's supposed to be away, but it stays down and in and right down that third base line. Hard by Machado at third base. The Red Sox have a man in scoring position with 2 outs.
A chance here for Pablo Sandoval, who walked in the first inning. Yeah, Norris was a 15-game winner last year for the Orioles. Went 15-8 in 28 starts for Baltimore last season. It was his second year with the Orioles. And heading out there, the catcher Ryan Lavarnway after that miss. Boston-based daily fantasy company DraftKings.com, the official daily fantasy partner of your Boston Red Sox, is giving out $300 million in cash prizes. Enter promo code NESSN to play for free. 2-out opportunity here for Pablo Sandoval, who takes ball 2. Neither has been close. Hanley Ramirez waiting on deck. 40th pitch for Norris of his outing. And that's not close. 3-0. From the stretch, been a little different story here for Norris.
Yeah, 3 pitches, I mean, way out of the strike zone, and it has to be for Sandoval not to swing at one of them.
And especially to Sandoval. He's thrown 7 pitches all ball so far against Sandoval in this game. Of course, he's faced Pablo plenty in the past in the National League. Sandoval swinging 3-0 and fouls it back to the screen. Swing and a miss. Fastball. He is chasing after, and it is a full count.
It's almost like Sandoval was expecting some type of off-speed pitch because he's very late on this swing here on the fastball down and away at 92.
Pedroia at second base, 2 down here in the Boston third inning. Sandoval hits a fly ball down the left field line. Steve Pearce set it over towards foul ground, but he won't have a play. Well, back into the seats. Machado is giving chase, so is Everett Cabrera. Payoff pitch to Sandoval. Pablo foul another one off down the left field line, out of play. After the double by Pedroia, Norris had retired 4 Red Sox in a row. Really doing some dancing out there at second as Sandoval fouls it off.
Look at that Amica pitch zone, DraftKings pitch zone, whichever one. And I think there's been 1 pitch in the strike zone this whole at bat. 2 pitches, the 7th pitch and 5th pitch.
Two pitch foul back to the screen. Two down, Pedroia at second base. Sandoval with a full count in the battle here with Bud Norris. Tenth pitch of the at-bat coming up here to Sandoval. Pedroia taken off for third as Sandoval fouls it off to the left, out of play. Deep in right is Delman Young for Sandoval to pull. Everybody else about straight up here on Sandoval with 2 outs and Pedroia at second base. Close pitch, but called ball 4 on the 11th pitch of the at bat. Norris took a step towards the dugout, thought he had him, but Toby Basner does not agree.
It's amazing how he can swing at so many different pitches and lay off that one that's close and able to draw the walk down to first base.
So the second walk given up by Norris, both have been to Sandoval. And Norris, all he can do is shake his head. Hanley Ramirez climbs in the box. With Pedroia at second, Sandoval at first. Hanley's second at bat of the day, grounded out to Ray Navarro at second base in the first inning. Look out. Fastball up and in.
Seen a couple of teams do this to Ramirez, then follow up with a breaking ball away. Vonway throwing out signs to his infielders, letting them know if there's any kind of double steal where he'll be throwing the ball, whether it be third base or second base.
To right field, Delman Young is there to make the catch. Well hit, but right in the neighborhood of Delman Young. Red Sox strand a pair and trail 1-0. Geico Red Sox moment all season long. Geico will highlight the 1975 Red Sox in honor of their 40th anniversary. In Game 19 of the season, the Red Sox beat the Indians 7-5. Louis Tiant earned the win, going 6 innings and allowing 3 earned runs. Fred Lynn was 2 for 3 with an RBI, and Jim Rice went 1 for 4 with a double and 2 runs batted in. You notice Jim's collars today by chance in the pregame show, Jerry?
Very sharp.
Outstanding.
Very, very sharp.
I can honestly say I have never seen that before. Have you ever seen that?
I have not seen that. I know I couldn't get away with it, but Jim can.
See if we can get a shot of that during the game, because that is definitely, Jim is a trendsetter. There's no doubt about that. And this is something I think is really going to take off. Ryan Lavarnway leading it off here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Lavarnway 1 for 13 with his new team, the Orioles. Field straight away here. Lavarnway, then Navarro and Cabrera. To right center field. Mookie Betts coming in, falling fast, and it will fall. Triangle created out there by the Red Sox defenders with Pedroia, Betts, and Craig, and it falls in between all 3. Well, don't miss WB Mason Extra Innings Live right after the game with TC and Jim Rice. He'll analyze Wade Miley's start. He'll have clubhouse reaction. Whatever, whenever, wherever. Who but WB Mason? And that is officially the first hit for the Orioles today. The ball that Betts lost in the sun was an error charge to the center fielder. He's got a piece of his glove. And here's the number 9 man, Ray Navarro.
Certainly the word is out on Miley's very quick move to first base, so you probably see some very short leads over there.
Fly ball to left center field. Betts with shallow, moves back and will run it down. Back by the warning track. And we are seeing more and more as Betts plays shallow that he can get back on those balls, as he just did.
Got 2 very graceful center fielders in this series. Mookie Betts and, of course, Adam Jones for the Orioles. Betts again shallow, as you mentioned, the crossover stepping straight back. That time, no sun is going to interrupt that catch by Betts.
So 1 out, Lavarnway at first base, and it brings up Everett Cabrera, the top of the order. Grounded out to Pablo Sandoval at third base in the first inning. Rolls it in that direction again, but foul this time. On deck, Manny Machado here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. The Orioles on top 1-0. The difference in the game, a sac fly by Steve Pearce in the 2nd inning, scoring Delman Young, game's lone run. Go to first, and Lavarnway back. I'm not sure Ryan's going anywhere based on what we know about his speed.
The only place he was going was back to first base.
Swing and a miss, and it's 1-2.
Going to be a pitch right there to be very helpful to Miley today. That change up away from these right-handers, stacked with the right-handers in the lineup today.
Straightens him up on a pitch in, running in at 90 miles an hour. No doubt the Orioles are dealing with some injuries. 5 Orioles currently on the DL. J.J. Hardy He's had a bit of a setback during what was to be his rehab stint. Matt Wieters still coming back from Tommy John surgery. Wesley Wright, left-handed pitcher, and Jonathan Scope, the second baseman. Ryan Flaherty, right groin strain beginning this series, went on the DL. Line to center and a base hit. Barnway had to wait to make sure. Now Jess gets to second base on a ringing single for Everett Cabrera.
Well, we gave you the numbers last time. Cabrera against Smiley, very good, hitting .476 coming into the game, and now 1 for 2. Line shot right up over Miley's head and into center field, and you see Lavanway chugging into second base.
2 on, 1 out.
Not blessed with the greatest of speed.
No, I would have considered not holding him on at first base even. As Manny Machado stands in and takes ball 1. Machado flied out to the right fielder Alan Craig in the first inning. Look out. There's some dance steps to get out of the way. And by the shoe tops, and this will bring Leon out as Miley off the mark with the first 2 pitches.
Machado jumping back and getting those shins out of the way of that fastball.
The old school stirrups look going today.
I like them. The old Orioles.
A little bit low for ball 3. Not close, and a 4-pitch walk. Base is now loaded. That's the first walk given up by Miley, but never appeared to be comfortable in that sequence. Juan Nieves coming out to talk about it. Now, for every Red Sox game that goes into extra innings or the Sox get a save, CVS Pharmacy make a donation to Boston Children's Hospital towards a $25,000 commitment once again this season. CVS Pharmacy, the official pharmacy of the Boston Red Sox. Well, the first walk given up by Miley of his outing. Did walk 4 last time out in 5 2/3 innings. Got the win, first win in a Red Sox uniform. Hey, remember, Miley was not happy about coming out of that game in Tampa when he did, and at the time he admitted after the game he thought the game was tied, and he didn't realize he had to win when he came out, or had the lead when he came out. One down, bases loaded here in the 3rd inning. Low for ball 1. Jones thought about it, lets it pass, and it's 2-0. That is 6 straight balls now.
And this is very dangerous. A 2-0 count to Jones with the bases loaded.
That's not close. Needed to throw a strike and couldn't do it.
And the way he's swinging, he may have the green light.
In the dirt, and that'll walk in and run. Nothing close, and Miley all of a sudden has lost it here. Back-to-back walks on 8 pitches, and it's 2-0 Baltimore. All started with a Ryan Lavarnway single to begin this inning. Jones getting credit for an RBI and the bases loaded walk, and now here is Delman Young. Reached on the 2-base error in the 2nd inning. Miley taking a little extra time behind the mound. Now back up on top. Missing up high for ball 1. That's a strike. Pitching line brought to you by Ace Ticket. 2 1/3, 2 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, a couple walks. 50th pitch of his outing coming up. Another strike as he battles back. Cabrera at third, Machado at second, Jones at first with 1 out. 2-2.
A lot of time when he's missing down and out of the strike zone.
On the ground, foul outside of third base, and it hangs at 2-2 here to Delmon Young. The catcher Sandy Leon out there to talk to Miley again. Settle him down here in this inning. Cabrera at third, Machado at second, Jones at first, 1 out, a run in. And a 2-2 pitch to Delmon Young. Line into left field, a base hit. From third comes Cabrera. That'll plate another Orioles run. And Baltimore takes a 3-0 lead. Delmon Young drives in the run. Juan Nieves to the phone.
Well, Delmon Young picks up his 3rd RBI of the season. Did a good job staying back on a Miley curveball that time. And drove it right past the dive of Xander Bogaerts at shortstop. Almost picked that one off the ground. That curveball's down way out of the strike zone, but good hitting by Delmon Young.
Bases reloaded again. Still just 1 out in the inning, and here's Chris Davis. In the air, down the left field line, making its way foul. Anthony Vivaro just up in the pen as they just got word in the bullpen to get Vivaro up. Miley running into trouble here in the 3rd inning, 2nd time through this Orioles order. And he's not out of this yet. Davis to center. Betts going back, still going. Leaps and can't make the catch. Got some glove on it. Machado will score. Jones coming around from second base. Throw to the plate will be late. And the Orioles take a 5-0 lead. A double for Davis to center that plates 2 more Baltimore runs.
Well, Davis doing a good job hanging in there on the breaking ball from a lefty. Lefty against lefty. Solid contact up over the head of Mookie Betts. Does get a piece of the baseball with the glove, but can't pull it in. And the Orioles having a big inning.
Infield in now for Boston. Still only 1 out in the inning. And Pierce backs out. They shift on the left side, but everybody tight right at the edge of the grass. In the dirt, and nicely done by Leon, sliding to his left. Here's a sac fly, his first time up, picking up his 5th RBI of the year. And a swing and a miss there. Delmon Young at third. Chris Davis at second. 1-1 to Pierce. Little pop-up that's going to land with the infield in and center field. Young scores from third, and Baltimore takes a 6-0 lead.
Now, those are the things that happen when the infield's playing in. Just a little bloop goes over the head of Pedroia and brings in another run, and that's going to be it for Miley today.
John Farrell out to make the change. Miley comes unglued here in the third. Charge to Miley, and he may not be done yet with runners at first and third. He's not going to pitch anymore today.
I see the Red Sox bring the infield in with down by this many runs early in the game, and just a little bloop to shortstop, but because they're in, another run scores and the base hit. Miley just totally frustrated on his whole afternoon.
This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Kia. Anthony Vivaro into the game for Boston early in the game. He's 2 1/3 innings into this game, and here he is. His 8th appearance, 0-1, 2.25 earned run average. 5 strikeouts to 4 walks, and opponent sitting at 290 against Vivaro. Vivaro took the loss on Thursday night at Tampa Bay, going a third of an inning, giving up 3 hits and a run. Also had thrown Wednesday night in the series at Tampa Bay, going an inning and a third. Jimmy Paredes, the batter, 9th member of the Orioles to bat in the inning. The grounder foul. Paredes flied out to the left fielder, Brock Holt, in the second inning. Down and in, and a ball and a strike. Miley responsible for Davis at third, Pierce at first. He ended up throwing 57 pitches. In the dirt, and it is 2-1. Got away from Leon briefly behind him.
And couldn't really get a handle on it either, but still no advance by the base runners. Goes down between the legs of the umpire, goes to pick it up, drops it, kicks it. Everything going on there, but no advance to first base.
Straightens up Paredes. Not been fun to watch for John Farrell. The Orioles got a run in the second. So far, 5 here in the third. 6 Orioles have all reached. And this one carved foul to the screen, makes it a full count. And Lavarnway, who started all this with a single to center and came around to score eventually. Former Red Sox catcher waiting on deck. Paredes grounds one right side. Pedroia will go to second for one. Back to first. Not in time, and a run will score. In from third with a 7th Oriole run is Chris Davis, and it's 7-0 Baltimore.
Not much the Red Sox could do there. They're back playing for a double play, and the ball's hit to Pedroia's left. You see him go right there, has to spin around, make the throw to Bogaerts, and by that time they got no chance at first base to get Paredes, who's hitting out of the left side of the batter's box. Gives him an extra couple of steps to first base. Tough to double up.
Now the strike to Lavarnway from Bavaro. That run is charged to Wade Miley. Still responsible for Paredes at first base, part of the fielder's choice. Barnway fouls it back and is down 0-2. Fly ball right field. Craig had started in. Now he goes back and makes the catch that puts an end to this inning. But what an inning it was for the Baltimore Orioles, who enjoy a 7-0 lead. Helps make good things happen. Watch how good things are happening to local people at easternbank.com/goodthingshappen. Now back at Camden Yards in Baltimore, where the Orioles have opened things up on top 7-0 as we head to the top of the 4th inning. Red Sox with work to do, and Mike Napoli leads it off and takes strike one. Mike didn't like it. Toby Basner, home plate umpire. Napoli was a strikeout victim in the 2nd inning, and the only strikeout so far for Bud Norris, who's got a big lead now to work with today. And swing and a miss for Napoli. Napoli, Brock Holt, and Alan Craig expected to bat here in the 4th inning. Red Sox have 2 hits off Norris as that one bounces in. So Miley charged with all 7 runs. Wade Miley today going 2 1/3, 5 hits, 7 runs, walked 2, and did not strike anybody out. 1-2 pitch is popped up. And the catcher, Lavarnway, shades his eyes but makes the catch for the first out of the inning. Napoli retired. Stay tuned today following WB Mason Extra Innings Live, a Red Sox final presented by Uno's. TC and Jim Rice will have a Blue Jays series preview. So one down in the inning, and Brock Holt coming up. Holt singled to center field in the second. One of two Red Sox hits. The other, a double by Dustin Pedroia. Pedroia's double in the third inning. Tough to play from behind like this, down 7-0 today.
Yeah, it's very frustrating to start a game off like this. You've got to battle back, try to get a run here, run there, and hope for somewhere along the line you get a big blast. But you got to shut them down first. I mean, it's still early. Orioles can certainly score more.
Holt takes a strike. He didn't think so. Neither did the pitch zone. Evens up now at 2-2. Brock Holt today getting the start in left field as Alan Craig waits on deck. He's now started a game at second base, 3 at short, 2 at third base, 2 in center field. This is his first start in left of the year. Liner into center field, a base hit for Brock Holt, and he is 2 for 2 against Bud Norris today.
Now 2 line drives by Holt in this game to give him that 2 for 2 as Don told you about. Again, he gets a fastball out over the plate and right back up the middle with the line drive.
One out, one on, and Alan Craig flied out to center field in the second inning. It's his second look at Bud Norris. There's strike one. Strike 2. Right, 2 for 12 on the road trip here for the Red Sox, getting a chance to play on a more regular basis. Victorino going on the DL. It's his 5th start of the year. It's a fly ball to center field. Adam Jones back there waiting. Makes the catch for the second out. No advance for Brock Holt. And there are 2 outs here in the 4th inning. But tonight at 8, the real-life NBA discussion of business and baseball featuring John Henry and Jack Welch teaches you how to build a team and win the game. Catch it on Business and Baseball tonight at 8. 2 outs. Brock Holt at first base. And Xander Bogaerts. His second at bat of the day, grounded out to Manny Machado at third base in the second inning. Popped up left side. Cabrera, the shortstop, makes the catch. Holt's left at first at 7-0 Baltimore. See what's new at easternbank.com. Here, your first Eastern Bank. Back in Baltimore as we head to the bottom of the fourth inning. It's been all Orioles in this game. On top 7-0 over the Red Sox.
That statue we're just looking at looked like Eddie Murray.
Ray Navarro leading it off here in the bottom of the fourth inning and swinging at the first pitch. Navarro flying out to the center fielder Mookie Betts in the third inning. Orioles sending 10 men to the plate. 6 of them scored. And 5 hits and a couple of walks in that inning. Now ground ball and into right field by both the dives of Napoli and Pedroia. Navarro is on to begin things in the fourth inning.
And Navarro gets a changeup. He does a pretty good job staying back on it. Changeup stayed up in the zone and gave him something to work with right there, and right between Pedroia and Napoli for the base hit.
Lead runner on for the Orioles now for the third time in 4 innings. Everett Cabrera has grounded out to third and singled to center. Swings away and pops it up. Foul ground. Sandoval heading over towards the seats, and he will not have a play. Anthony Vivaro back on the mound here for Boston, working in the fourth inning of the final 2 outs of the third inning. Quiet the Orioles offense. Miley, the starter, in 2 1/3 innings, charged with all 7 Orioles runs. That will not help out his 6.08 earned run average coming in. And Leon had to come out of his crouch to grab that. 1-2. Appeared to be by design. On the ground to first base. Napoli will tag first. Second base is going to be a tag play, and that almost ended up in left field. So leaning to get it was Bogarts, but safe at second base is Navarro. It's time now for a game break brought to you by Jordan's, the furniture store of the Boston Red Sox. Tom? Okay, Tom, thanks very much. Back here at Oriole Park at Camden Yards with the runner at second and 1 down. Manny Machado, the batter. And of course, when the Red Sox get home, they open up a 3-game series against the Toronto Blue Jays tomorrow night. Inside for ball 2, 2-0. Machado's fly to right, walked and scored. Heading out of the number 2 spot in the Orioles order with Ray Navarro at second base. Three and 0. Been a fun day so far for John Farrell. Not close, and a 4-pitch walk for Manny Machado. Second time he has walked in this game. Well, the road ahead is brought to you by People's United Bank. The Blue Jays for the next 3. Again, all 6 o'clock start times at Fenway Park. And then Thursday's an off day before the Yankees come in for the weekend. Tampa Bay then rounds out the 3-team homestand the Red Sox will be dealing with coming up here at home. all spent in the American League East. Navarro at second base, Machado at first base, one out in the Orioles' fourth inning. Adam Jones, the batter. Swings away, and it's a high fly ball to center field, playable for Betts. Alan Craig's there too, and he's going to step in front of him to make the catch. Tagging at second, heading for third is Navarro, and he will get there. But now 2 outs in the inning as Adam Jones is retired.
That Jones, he likes that first pitch, and that ball was up and away from him. The long fly ball out to Alan Craig. It's amazing, you know, he doesn't walk very much, doesn't strike out very much, but he's got that, maintains that high batting average, good power.
Two on, two down. Delman Young. Reached on an error in the second, singled in the third. This will get by Leon, and moving up to second base is Machado. Navarro will remain at third base. Tough here at Camden Yards in Baltimore because there's not a lot of space between home plate and what is a pretty vicious ricochet of the brick behind home plate, really close.
Yeah, and the runners for the Orioles certainly know that. So you're going to see the runner at third base come in a few steps, and then he sees where the bounce is, and he's got no chance to score. But Machado does get into second base.
Wild pitch ruled. Charge to Vivaro. Young lines it to left field. In comes Navarro. Machado's behind him. 2 more Baltimore runs, and the Orioles lead it 9-0. Delman Young has driven in 3 of those runs today.
Now, Delman Young had a total of 2 RBIs coming into the game today. Add 3 to that, as he gets a breaking ball here from Vivaro, I should say, and picks up that line drive down the left field line. So the route is on here at Camden Yards.
9-0 Orioles as Chris Davis takes strike 1. Davis flying out to center field in the second. He doubled in the third. That double produced 2 Baltimore runs. Red Sox shifting on the right side as they hold on Young. More action in the Red Sox pen. Robbie Ross Jr., the left-hander, warming up. Now Sandoval has come over as part of the shift to the right side as they change up the personnel as part of this shift.
No double play situation here, so they can leave Sandoval and Bogarts as the combination around the bag.
Wild swing and a miss. Chris Davis frustrated.
And completely fooled on that changeup by Vivaro. A speed pitch down in the dirt.
Up and in to Davis at 93 miles an hour. Full count now. And 2 outs in the inning. Delman Young can get a start at first base. Davis hooks one to Sandoval on the right side of the infield with a shift on, and he throws him out. Orioles add 2 more. It's been all Baltimore. 9-0. Of Nesson Clubhouse following postgame. D'Angelo Ortiz learned some hitting tips from his dad. Shane Victorino takes the hot seat in all new Small Talk and tour Wally's Clubhouse at Fenway Park. Catch it all today at 5:30 on Nesson Clubhouse, presented by Delta Dental of Massachusetts. Delman Young driving in 2 more Baltimore Orioles runs. The O's enjoy a 9-0 advantage. Young battling the sun out there, trying to figure out how he's going to work around it. Ready to go, as is Sandy Leon, who stands in for the Red Sox and takes strike 1. Leon lined out to Adam Jones in center field. Bobby Ross still warming in the bullpen. Looks like he'll be coming on for the bottom half of this inning. Red Sox try to piece together the rest of this game after their starter. Wade Miley leaves after 2 1/3 innings. Leon will pop it up left side of the infield. Manny Machado taking charge and handling the first out of the 5th inning. Ace Ticket, the official Red Sox ticket partner, has the best seats at the lowest prices to all the games at Fenway, all with a 200% guarantee. Right now, Ace Ticket has special savings on all Red Sox games, including the Yankees. Visit Ace Ticket or call 1-800-MY-SEATS. Not much to cheer about if you are a Red Sox fan here today in Baltimore, as the Orioles have a 9-0 lead. 1 in the second, 6 in the third, 2 in the 4th inning. Mookie Betts now sends one to right center, and it is Adam Jones stepping in front of Delman Young, 2 down.
And we saw Delman Young checking out the sun, and a much better angle that time for Adam Jones to get over there and make the play. As you can see, Delman Young looking toward Jones to make that play. Come over and help. I can't really see it.
You know, we were watching him get set up in right field. You could tell he was in trouble even before anything came in his direction.
Yeah, he didn't want anything out there this inning.
So 2 down for Dustin Pedroia. Fly down to center in the first, doubled to left in the third. Outfield about straight away here on Pedroia, as Dustin grounds one back up the middle into center field for a base hit. His second hit of the day, as we send it down to Sarah.
Yeah, so if you remember, Pedroia underwent season-ending left wrist surgery last September. Now, 3 weeks into the season, I was talking to him earlier, asking him if it's enough time to really see if that surgery has made a difference, and it's given him increased range of motion. He says he's feeling better than ever and just great. So, great news, right, guys?
Well, it has been. I mean, there's no question you can see that the swings that Pedroia's had, even though the average doesn't amount to that yet, has been much crisper than they were a year ago. He's been able to take that inside pitch and clean it out. And, you know, that's something that he had a difficult time doing. So, I mean, we could see it back in spring training that he was feeling much better than what he did for the last couple of years.
And certainly his power has showed that as well. Already 4 home runs on the year. There's a fly ball to center field. Adam Jones in his tracks out there. Now in a step or 2. Makes the catch that ends the top of the 5th. Halfway through, Baltimore on top 9-0. filmmakers from Worcester State join forces to show how a town band together to bring a sport they love back to the field. Plus, will 2 filmmakers from BU get the reaction they're hoping for from Boston film critic Ty Burr? See what happens on Nesson Next Producer tomorrow at 10. 9-0 Baltimore on top. Steve Pearce leading it off. Jimmy Paredes and Ryan LaVarnway coming up. Red Sox using their 3rd pitcher of the day as Robbie Ross Jr. comes into the game. 8th appearance, no record of 5.40 ERA. 3 strikeouts, a walk, and opponent sitting at .261 against him. Bavaro ends up going an inning and 2/3. Allows 2 hits and 2 runs. Walked a batter, did not strike anybody out. The lion's share of runs allowed by the starter, Miley. There's a liner to left, but Brock Holt is out there playing deep and makes the catch on Steve Pearce for the first out of the inning. So 1 out, Jimmy Paredes coming up. Today's Cold Hard Facts are brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Red Sox and Orioles have combined to hit 9 home runs in the series, and are 2 of the 4 AL East teams that find themselves in the top 6 in the American League in team home runs.
Toronto Blue Jays, you can see their 25 coming into Fenway tomorrow night.
There's a liner to center field and a base hit for Jimmy Paredes. His first hit of the day.
And first hit of the year from the right side of the plate. We mentioned he only had a few at-bats hitting right-handed, but he has been on fire.
One out, one on for Ryan LaVarnway. 1 for 2 in the game. His single got the big 3rd inning started for Baltimore. They would score 6 times in the 3rd inning. I saw Robbie Ross in the 7th inning of Tuesday night's win at Tampa Bay. Came in with 2 outs in the 7th inning. Tired the only batter that he faced, and as Asdrubal Cabrera got him to ground out. Right side and off the glove of Pedroia. It'll find its way into short right. He'll play anywhere. So LaVarnway reaches.
Well, LaVarnway came in this game 0 for his last 11, but now 2 for 3 in this ball game today. Pedroia dives, knocks the ball down, but there's nothing he can do about this. Ball bounces up high on Pedroia, still knocks it down, but that's going to go as a base hit for LaVarnway.
First and second with 1 down. Ray Navarro batting out of the number 9 spot. They're taking their hacks. Look at the first pitch.
It's like they got a plane to catch or something. They're up there swinging. And things are going the right way, so why not?
On the ground, foul outside of third. Sandoval runs it down in foul ground. No 2 pitch to Navarro. And a grounder towards short. Bogart's not going to get it. It gets into center field. Around from second base comes Paredes. The throw to the plate. It's going to be close, but not in time. Making an even 10 runs for the Orioles, who lead it 10-0. Farrell looking into the dugout to find out whether or not he should challenge this, and will not.
Navarro picking up his second hit. Another low pitch, a low breaking ball. It doesn't matter what Red Sox pitchers are throwing up there today. They're getting hit. That's a nice slide right there as he goes right around the sweep tag and gets the hand on the plate. Very nice slide.
First and second with 1 out. Everett Cabrera, the batter. And he'll take strike one. So the first run that Ross has allowed. Bullpen has been charged with 3 now of the 10 runs the Orioles have. Wild swing and a miss, 0-2. Barnway at second, Navarro at first with 1 out in the Orioles' 5th inning. This has been some kind of offensive attack today by Baltimore. They have 10 runs on 10 hits. And a swing and a miss as Cabrera strikes out. That is the first strikeout for Red Sox pitching today.
And it took a nasty sliding down and off the plate to be able to pick up that strikeout.
Unique Insurance, great service, great coverage, and a great price for auto, home, or life insurance. Just called up today, Heath Hembree in the pen. Manny Machado aboard twice without the benefit of a hit. He's walked twice and flied to right. Well, Matt Barnes was optioned back to the Pawtucket Red Sox today after working here last night, and Heath Hembree recalled from Pawtucket. Numbers in 6 games with the Paw Sox. Barnes going back down to start again, back to his normal rotation appearance after relieving here last night. Ground ball by the mound towards short. Bogarts will flip to second for the force out. That will end the inning. The O's grab another run and take a 10-0 lead. The Office Jet Pro X clocks in at 70 pages per minute. Get yours today for up to 50% off from who? But WB Mason. 10-0, Baltimore on top. Well, Bud Norris working here into the 6th inning with a big lead. We'll deal with 4, 5, and 6 for the Red Sox here. Hanley Ramirez, Mike Napoli, Brock Holt coming up. Norris has allowed 4 hits, 2 to Brock Holt, 2 to Dustin Pedroia. He has walked 2 and struck out a batter. Hanley Ramirez has not been on yet today. He has grounded out to second base and lined out to right. There is strike 1 to Hanley Ramirez. Pitching line brought to you by your Eastern Lexus dealers for Bud Norris. Red Sox have left 6 men on base and not been able to push across a run and dealing with a 10-run deficit. Outside for ball 2, 2-1. Bud Norris coming into today's outing 0-2, the 17.42 earned run average. 4th start of the year. Ground ball left side, cut off by Machado. Throws out Ramirez for the first out of the 6th inning.
And Machado very busy down at third base this afternoon for the Orioles. And has been clean with everything that's come down in his direction.
One out in the 6th, and it brings up Mike Napoli. 0 for 2 today. Struck out swinging in the 2nd. Fouled out to Ryan Lavarnway, the catcher, in the 4th inning. And he takes strike 1. To center field, and Adam Jones 2 down. Jones headed away to make that catch out to center field. Again, in the swing of baseball season, make sure you never miss a game by downloading the Red Sox schedule today. Visit NESN.com/schedule and import the 2015 schedule directly into your favorite desktop, web, or mobile calendar program. Shane Victorino has got a schedule right now on the DL. Fortunately for Shane, the hamstring problem. 2 down here in the 6th inning for Brock Holt. Holt with 2 hits today, both singles, both to center field. Framed there by Lavarnway, but called the ball 2-0. Outside for ball 3, 3-0. Alan Craig waiting on deck with 2 down here in the 6th inning. Holt takes ball 4. 3rd walk given up by Norris. Comes with 2 outs here in the 6th inning. Send it down to Sarah.
All right, so Alan Craig playing right field where we usually see Shane Victorino, and I asked him today what his hamstring actually feels like. He says it's really tight, kind of sore to the touch, but he says he's determined to get back 100%, so he's doing laser treatments, ice, massages every day. He ran in the pool yesterday. Today he said he's taking it easy, and when he gets back 100%, he told me he's not going to hesitate to steal more bases.
A lot of leg problems for Victorino the last couple of years to go along, obviously, with the injuries he had last year in the back. But he's got that kind of build where you can see where his hamstrings become very tight and pulls hamstring muscles.
Alan Craig batting here with 2 outs, and Brock Holt at first base. On the ground to third base, Machado will go to second for the force out. That ends the top of the 6th inning. Baltimore with a 10-0 lead. 4.04 ERA. His last start Wednesday against Baltimore, he got the win. Joe Kelly in 3 starts, 1-0 with a 4.08 ERA. In his last start Wednesday at Tampa Bay, finished with a no decision after allowing 5 runs in 5 innings pitched. This closer look is brought to you by FW Web. An even closer look, check out FWWeb.com. 10-0 Baltimore on top of Boston, out hitting the Red Sox 10-4. And into the game just called up today is Heath Hembree with the Paw Sox. 6 games without giving up a run in 8 innings worth of work. Striking out to 10, walking 2, and opponents sitting at 115 in the International League against Hembree, who's in here to deal with 3, 4, and 5 for the Orioles here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Takes over for Robbie Ross Jr. Ross in an inning gave up 3 hits and a run. Didn't walk anybody, struck out a batter. Adam Jones, well, 2 Orioles not to have a hit in this game, did walk in the 3rd inning. That is grounded to short and fly to right. Hembree coming over from San Francisco, and the deal that saw Jake Peavy go to the Giants in his Red Sox debut last year. This one popped up, foul ground, back and out of play. Hembree last year in 10 innings pitched for Boston in 6 games gave up 5 earned runs and a 4.50 ERA with the Red Sox. 15 total major league games between the Giants in San Francisco and the Red Sox here last year. Down the right field line as Craig heads over, shading his eyes, but that's going to end up well back into the seats. Ball, 2 strikes to Adam Jones, leading things off here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Low at 94 miles an hour. Red Sox beginning the day. The top spot in the American League East, tied with the Yankees and the Rays. Swing and a miss, and Jones strikes out. So Hembree strikes out Jones for the first out of the 6th inning.
A pretty good slide here by Hembree as he takes it to the outside part of the plate and then goes off the plate with it. Jones chased that.
1 out in the 6th brings up Delman Young, which on a 2-base error in the 2nd inning. Singled and scored in the 3rd. Singled to drive in 2 runs in the 4th inning. Now fly ball to right field. Alan Craig coming in. 2 down in the 6th. Well, Tuesday, May 5th is Carlton Fisk bobblehead night at Fenway Park. All fans in attendance will receive a free Carlton Fisk bobblehead presented by Sports Authority. Visit RedSox.com promos for more information and to purchase your tickets now. Red Sox into the shift on the right side of the infield on Chris Davis. Strike 1. Davis with a double back in the 3rd, a 1-for-3 day. That double scored 2 runs. Now 12 RBIs on the year. Red Sox in the middle of a stretch, 7 consecutive series and 22 consecutive games against American League East opponents. Next non-AL East team be the A's on May 11th. This one fouled off. Two balls, two strikes to Chris Davis. Steve Pearce on deck with two down here in the Orioles' sixth inning. That'll bounce in. Payoff pitch to Chris Davis. Fly ball hit well to center. Betts going back at the wall. That ball is gone. Blast to center field out of the deepest part of the yard here at Camden Yards. Chris Davis with his second home run of the series, fourth of the year, and Baltimore takes an 11-0 lead.
Well, you get the baseball in a certain spot against Chris Davis, and he's going to absolutely mash it. And that's what he does here. Ball down in his zone. He loves the low fastball, and he can hit it a long, long way. Straight away center field with this one.
Steve Pearce, who is 1 for 2 with the sac fly. He can hit some majestic home runs, and that one a blast to center field. Now a line drive down the left field line that is going to be a foul ball. One, a swing and a miss. On the ground, foul outside of first. Well, don't miss an all-new episode of the Ultimate Red Sox Show, presented by AAA tonight on NESN. We'll highlight the AL East matchups with the Rays and the Orioles and introduce you to Massachusetts native Ryan Hannigan. That and more tonight at 6 on the Ultimate Red Sox Show, presented by AAA. 1-2 to Pearce. Remember, he was able to strike out Adam Jones to begin the inning. Delman Young flat out to right before the long solo home run by Chris Davis. Here's a line, another one foul down the left field line, out of play. Ball 3, full count. Pearce fouls it back below us.
Done a good job keeping the slider away from those right-handers, but that slider stayed inside, and Pierce just fouls it off. My guess would that's how he'd get a lot of strikeouts in the minor leagues. He's got a good tight slider.
Ball 4 apparently a little bit low. And Pierce down to first base, a lengthy at bat, and a walk for Pierce with 2 outs in the inning.
Looked like a pretty good pitch, but not called a strike. Called a little bit low by the home plate umpire, Basder.
Base runner with 2 down as Jimmy Paredes coming up. He has flied to left, grounded into a fielder's choice, and single to center. As an RBI, now 7 on the season. Oh, 0-2 the count. Embry jumping ahead here. So Wade Miley today, 2 1/3, 7 runs. Anthony Vivaro, an inning and 2/3, 2 runs, and Robbie Ross, 1 inning giving up a run. Embry has so far given up a run. This one will get away, but no further advance as Pierce remains at first base. Fifth pitch of the inning for Embry. Paredes to right, and Craig is not going to get this. By him to the track of the wall. Pierce is going to try and score from first base. And the throw to third as a run scores will be late. It's a triple and another Baltimore run. The Orioles take a 12-0 lead.
Paredes, I mean, we've been watching this since Friday night. He is really swinging the bat well. Line drive that quickly gets by Craig. An easy triple for Paredes. Picks up his second RBI of the afternoon. He was dropped in the order because he was hitting right-handed to start the game. When the opposition starts a right-hander, he moves up to the number 3 spot in the batting order. Or 2.
He stands at third base now. It's been a 2-run inning for Baltimore, now on top 12-0. Ryan Lavarnway has had a good day against his old team. Couple of hits, both singles, has scored a run. Two balls and a strike now to Ryan Lavarnway. Number 9 man Ray Navarro waiting on deck. Embry got 2 quick outs here in the 6th inning, but home run, a walk, and a triple. Strike 2. So now every pitcher that has worked here today for the Red Sox so far has given up at least 1 run. Swing and a miss, and Lavarnway strikes out to end the inning. 2 more for Baltimore. It's been all O's on top 12-0. 8th inning. And here's today's T-Mobile game changer performance. Bud Norris against the Red Sox. 6 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs. He's walked 3, struck out a batter, and 86 pitches deep. Seen his ERA drop 6 points so far in this game. 6 runs, I should say. Started the game with a 17.42 ERA in his first 3 starts of the year. And here he is into the 7th inning with Xander Bogaerts leading it off and taking strike 1. Bogaerts 0 for 2. Grounded out to third in the second. Popped out to the shortstop in the 4th inning. One pitch. Bogaerts with a swing and a miss for strike 2. Bigger crowd here today. 43,802. 43,802. And these Orioles fans have enjoyed this game. Baltimore on top 12-0. Bogaerts is a little squibber down the first baseline. Norris will underhand it to first base for the out to get Bogaerts. I'll remind you not to miss Red Sox first pitch presented by Joseph Abood. Available at Men's Warehouse tomorrow at 5 p.m. TC Eck and Steve Lyons will preview the Blue Jays series and will have the latest news and notes. One down here in the 7th inning for Sandy León. Lined out to the center fielder Adam Jones in the 3rd. Popped out. The 3rd baseman Manny Machado in the 5th. On a strike now to León.
Little shake of the head for Norris. Thought he had the inside corner on that breaking ball.
Line to center field and in for a base hit. So León picks up the 5th Red Sox hit of the day. This one comes with 1 down.
They've been scattered all over the place. They have not had 2 hits in an inning in this ball game today.
1 out, 1 on, and the top of the order, Mookie Betts coming up. He does not have one of the hits today. He's grounded out to the left side twice, once to third, once to short, and has flied out to center. Dustin Pedroia has 2 of the hits. Brock Holt 2 of the hits, and recently Sandy León. There's a strike, 1-1. Well, the Red Sox arrived. The Orioles had lost 5 games in a row. And turn things around here against the Red Sox. Betts down 1-2.
And things should improve for them as the season goes on. As you mentioned, Don, they've got a lot of injuries. They'll be getting some guys back as time goes on.
Matt Wieters there waiting for his return out of the Tommy John surgery. On the ground, foul outside of third. I don't think Cal Ripken's coming back, though.
No, I don't think so.
J.J. Hardy possibly a little bit of a setback in his rehab stint. Swing and a miss, and Mookie Betts strikes out on the high fastball. Second strikeout for Norris, and there are 2 outs in the inning.
Elevating, going up the ladder against Betts after a breaking ball that was down and away, back to a fastball up and in to pick up the strikeout, the swinging strikeout from Betts.
Dustin Pedroia 2 for 3 today. Slide out to center, doubled and singled. Not holding on, Leon at first base. Norris hitting the century mark for the first time this season. That's pitch 101 from the Orioles right-hander. Pedroia lifts a foul fly down the right field line towards the seats and into him. Frustrating day for the Red Sox, pretty much out of the gate. Orioles scoring 1 in the second, 6 in the third, 2 in the fourth, 1 in the fifth, and 2 in the 6th inning. As Pedroia fouls this down the left field line. Red Sox have had at least 1 base runner in every inning, and so far have stranded 7 men on base. Two balls, 2 strikes. A little roller down the third baseline. Norris will pick it up and do nothing with it as Pedroia's got his 3rd hit of the day. Didn't go very far, but it didn't need to. He got down the line and beat it out. Well placed.
When you've had a rough road trip like Pedroia had offensively, I mean, you deserve and you need these kind of hits. Make it the 3rd hit of the day for Dustin. A double, 2 singles.
It's going to be the day for Dustin. A pinch runner taking over at first base. Daniel Nava will run for him. As John Farrell looks like he's going to be making some substitutions here, with the score being what it is. Give the rest of the day off for some of the Red Sox regulars. It starts with Pedroia. Orioles have action for the first time. Jason Garcia is taken to the Rule 5 draft from the Red Sox by the Orioles, and he warms up in the pen right now as Bud Norris has surpassed 100 pitches in this game. Here's Pablo Sandoval. Walked in the first, walked in the third before flying out to center in the 5th. Leon at second, Nava pinch running at first. High drive to right field for Sandoval. Deep and far as Delman Young watches that ball go. Pablo Sandoval's first home run in a Red Sox uniform. A 3-run shot.
Well, it took Sandoval a long time to get his first home run, but his first one, a long one, out over that scoreboard out there in right field. Gets that fastball and turns it around very quickly.
So that's going to do it for Bud Norris as Buck Showalter out of the dugout here. And And Norris, after a couple of tough outings to begin this year, pitched pretty well here today until the 7th inning. And Orioles fans let him hear it as he comes off. On top 12-3 are the Orioles. It just happened. A 3-run home run by Pablo Sandoval, his first in a Red Sox uniform off Bud Norris, and that ends the day for Norris, who departs with a chance to get his first win of the year. Jason Garcia now checking in for the Orioles, his 6th game without a record of 5.63 earned run average. As many walks as strikeouts, and opponents hitting at .267 against the right-hander. Hanley Ramirez, the batter, with 2 outs in the Boston 7th inning. Hanley 0 for 3 today, grounding out twice and lining out to right. Drives this to deep left field. Steve Pearce will watch this leave. So Sandoval and Ramirez go back to back against 2 different Oriole pitchers, and the Red Sox starting to make some noise. It's now 12-4.
Well, Hanley Ramirez was walking around the Red Sox clubhouse this morning in that DH spot and said he was going deep today. Well, he did. Back-to-back home runs, Sandoval, Ramirez. Number 7 on the season for Ramirez.
Second time Red Sox have gone back-to-back in the series and on the year. Now Mike Napoli 0 for 3. He will take a strike over the outside corner. Napoli has not been pleased at all with Toby Basner today, home plate umpire, and that situation has not improved. Now a grounder left side. Cabrera charging from short. Throws out Napoli to end the inning. Red Sox get 2 home runs in the inning and 4 runs. It is now 12-4 Baltimore. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Back at Camden Yards in Baltimore, where the Red Sox have just picked up 4 runs, but still trail in this game 12-4. Red Sox will have some defensive changes coming up after Pedroia was run for by Nava. As Hembree returns to the mound here for the Red Sox for the 7th, was touched for a couple runs in the bottom of the 6th inning. Nava goes to left field. And moving from left field to second base is Brock Holt. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 13 years. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking, widget, and more. Every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. The 7th inning stretch here at Camden Yards in Baltimore. The Xfinity game summary has sort of been one-sided here today for the Orioles, as tough start today for Wade Miley, last just 2 1/3 innings. Sandoval with a 3-run home run, his first home run in a Red Sox uniform. Norris going 6 2/3, looking for his first win of the year after 15 wins last year with the Orioles. And Baltimore with a offensive attack that includes 12 runs and 12 hits. Last of the 7th inning, and leading it off is Ray Navarro. He will shoot one into right center field. And that gets down. Betts will cut it off. Navarro headed for second base, and the throw will be late. Leadoff double for Ray Navarro, his 3rd hit of the day from his 9 spot in the order.
Got 2 singles, an RBI, and now this double. A gapper in right center field. He's reaching down, pulling that outside pitch and finding the gap, and hustles his way into second base with a 2-base hit. And the Red Sox get 4 back, and the Orioles attack right away in the bottom of the 7th.
Here is Everett Cabrera. He'll take a strike over the outside corner. 1 for 4 days, single to center field in the 3rd. Frame there by Leon. Call the ball, 1-1. Manny Machado on deck for the Orioles as they bat here in the 7th inning. Strike 2. Defensive swing there for Cabrera, getting a piece. Red Sox have further action. Craig Breslow warming in the pen. We've already seen Vivaro, Ross, and Hembree into this game. The John Farrell starter, Wade Miley, lasted 2 1/3 innings. Fouled back to the screen, still 1-2. Outside, and it's 2-2. Navarro with a double to begin things here in the 7th inning. 2-2 pitch. On the left field line and foul. Red Sox unable to come back in this game. They will drop both series on this road trip. 2 out of 3 in Tampa Bay and 2 out of 3 here in Baltimore to go 2-4 on the trip. Red Sox had not lost a series before heading out on the road this season. And a tough stretch here against American League East teams. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Cabrera. 8th pitch of this at bat for Cabrera. And a foul off another.
Very early, of course, but everybody in the East all bunched up. Nobody is more than 2 games out of first place. It's pretty dead even throughout the East in the early going.
To center field as Betts started back. Now it's going to fall. In from left comes Nava to play it on a hop, as taking third base is Navarro. And the Orioles have first and third with nobody out here in the 7th inning.
That sounded strange off the bat. It just sounded like it was going to be a little bloop that's going to drop in. Fastball away toward the end of the bat, and this drops in between all 3 guys. Nava, Betts, and Bogaerts.
First and third, nobody out. And Manny Machado, the batter, not have a base hit today. Look out. High heat up and in.
Well, you wonder, pitchers getting knocked around a lot today, and all of a sudden you get one up and in like that.
In the dirt, picked by Leon. Embry's been in this game since the 6th inning, gave up 2 runs in the 6th. Orioles threatening here in the 7th. Scored in every inning but the first so far. And a high drive to left down the line. It is hooking foul. Over as far as he could into the corner was Nava, but out ahead is Machado. Two-two pitch. Machado taking it the other way now in a pop-up foul ground. Napoli will not have a play. He began with a double for Navarro, single by Cabrera. First and third, nobody out. Embry has given up 4 hits since coming into this game. Machado, the foul tip held on to by Leon. Strike 3. Third strikeout for Heath Embry.
That ball was sailing away from Machado, and a pretty good job there by Leon, the catcher, to hold on to that foul tip.
There's Adam Jones. He does not have a hit today, of the 14 for the Orioles. Has been on base, though. He walked back in the 3rd inning and has scored a run. Line into left field, a base hit. From third comes Navarro. And the Orioles take a 13-4 lead as Adam Jones has an RBI single.
Well, he saw that inside slider, a bad pitch, and his eyes just lit up. And for a guy that's an aggressive hitter, swings early in the count, you get a pitch like that, you're going to do some damage with it. And Jones does. A hard line drive between third and short.
First and second with one out, a run in. Delmon Young. A couple of hits and 3 RBIs on the day. In the air to left center field. This will be trouble. Gets down to the track on the wall. Cabrera will score. Adam Jones trying to score from first base. He will. And that is now 15 runs in the game for the Orioles, who lead it 15-4. Delmon Young has driven in 5 today. And that'll be the day for Heath Hembree. Breslow will be coming in. 15-4 Orioles. Third inning is off the glove of Betts out there in center field. The Orioles leading 2 more runs as part of the 6-run attack. And Davis getting RBIs 11 and 12 on the year. Baltimore's now scored in every inning but the first, and they have scored 3 times so far here in the 7th inning. And Chris Davis will be next, facing the new Red Sox pitcher. As into the game, Craig Breslow, the left-hander, coming in. 8th appearance, not giving up a run in 11 innings so far. 9 strikeouts, 6 walks, and opponents hitting at 118 against Breslow as he takes over for Heath Hembree. Hembree ended up going an inning and a third. He is still responsible for the men on and has been touched so far for 5 runs and 6 hits. Walk and 3 strikeouts for Hembree as Chris Davis makes his way here to the batter's box. Breslow pitched here on Friday night. This is a hot shot foul down by the tarp. 2/3 of an inning with a walk. That he's not given up a run, longest stretch of his career to start a season by innings. The 1 pitch to Davis. Outside, and it's a ball and a strike. Delmon Young at second base with 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th. Steve Pearce waits on deck. Red Sox defensively in a shift on the right side. On the ground and through into left center field. And will stop Young at third base. It's a base hit for Chris Davis, his third hit of the day.
Well, a lot of guys having big days for the Baltimore Orioles. Delmon Young, Chris Davis. Navarro out of that 9 spot with 3 hits in an RBI.
Well, left-handed batters have just been 1 for 12 so far this year against Breslow before that base hit by Chris Davis. So first and third, 1 out. Here is Steve Pearce. On the ground, foul. Only batter of the starting 9 not to have a hit today for the Orioles, Manny Machado. But he has been on 3 times in the game, 2 walks, and he's scored 2 runs. Everybody else has at least 1 hit, with Delmon Young and Chris Davis, as well as Ray Navarro, all with 3 hits in the game. 17 total for Baltimore. Pearce to left center. On the run is Nava. Won't get there. Drops in, and from third base comes Delmon Young. Another Orioles run. They up their lead to 16-4.
Pearce picks up his 3rd RBI of the day. Had a sacrifice fly back in the 2nd, a base hit in the 3rd, and now a base hit in the 7th. High fastball that time, and Pearce gets on top of it. Drops it in front of Daniel Nava.
Jimmy Paredes, the 8th member of the Orioles to bat here in the 7th inning. A swing and a miss, off balance cut there. So the runs this inning charged to Heath Hembree. And he is charged with a total of 6 runs in an inning and a third. A roller foul over by the Red Sox dugout and into it. So starter Wade Miley, 7 runs, 6 earned. Vivaro gave up 2 runs in an inning and 2/3. Ross in an inning giving up a run. Heath Hembree 6 runs in an inning and a third. Fly ball foul off to the right, out of play. Jimmy Paredes, a single and a triple in this game, driving in 2 runs. On the ground, a base hit into right field. Davis being waved around. He will come in and score. And the Orioles get their 17th run of the day. It's now 17-4. 3rd hit of the day for Jimmy Paredes, who's driven in his 3rd run of the day.
He takes a pitch that's well off the plate and high, and hits it right between the first base bag and Mike Napoli. Another Oriole coming around. They're wearing out home plate today. The great thing about this is we gotta put a bow on this pig after when it's over.
There's a ground ball foul outside of third.
These are brutal.
Ryan Lavarnway with 2 hits. Single in the 3rd, a single in the 5th. Swing and a miss. It gets away, and from third base comes Pierce. He'll score. 18-4 Baltimore.
I mean, what else could go wrong today, really? I mean, you got all the hits, you got all the runs. Now you get this. A swing and a miss. The ball goes back to the backstop. Another run comes in.
This time it's charged a pass ball. At one point with Lavarnway catching Breslow, it was an all Yale battery. Of course, Lavarnway going to Yale, and so did Breslow. They face each other here in the 7th inning. And Breslow has now been charged with a couple of runs since coming in. This has not been a good day for Red Sox pitching, and that is an understatement.
And it has not been a good day all around for the Red Sox, with the exception of the home runs of Sandoval and Ramirez. Not with anybody expected when they got to the ballpark today.
Swing and a miss. Lavarnway off balance with that cut. Strikes out. That's out number 2 of the inning. First out recorded by Breslow. This is the 2nd time today that the Orioles have batted around. Ray Navarro started this inning with a double. Three-hit day from his number 9 spot in the order. 2 singles and a double. Fouled straight back, 0-2. Well, tomorrow is Replica Fenway Park night at Fenway. All fans in attendance will receive a free replica model of Fenway Park presented by W.B. Mason. Visit redsox.com/promos for more information and to purchase your tickets now. Looking for a rally here in Baltimore. That'd be one heck of a rally. This is a pop-up in foul ground. Leon will not have a play. Back into the seats. To left, Nava waiting, will put it away. And Baltimore adding 6 more. Orioles have an 18-4 lead. Airlines. Book your low fare on Southwest.com. The exciting Scion TC. Sullivan Tire and Auto Service. Thank you, New England, for 60 great years. The all-new Kia Sorento. Visit NewEnglandKiaDealers.com to learn more. New Amsterdam Vodka. Please enjoy responsibly. And by Audi. Experience the new Audi A3 today. 18-4. Baltimore on top of Boston as we head to the 8th inning. Brock Holt leading it off as Jason Garcia back on the mound for the Orioles. David Lowe, who of course had the walk-off home run in the 10th inning last night for Baltimore, takes over in center. So Adam Jones has the rest of the day off. Brock Holt today with 2 singles to center and a walk, aboard 3 times. Red Sox have more action in the pen. Edward Mujica warming.
Yeah, I think they would have liked Breslow to maybe go a couple of innings, but he threw a lot of pitches last inning, so Mujica warming up.
Brock Holt, Alan Craig, Xander Bogaerts expected to bat here in the inning. And a leadoff walk. That is the last thing on the face of the earth that Buck Showalter wants to see right now from Jason Garcia. A walk here with an 18-4 lead. Here comes Alan Craig, who is 0 for 3. He's flied out to center twice and reached on a fielder's choice. And Craig takes strike 1. On the outside corner, 0-2. Garcia's been charged with a run since coming in. Gave up the solo shot to Hanley Ramirez. 0-2 pitch. Line and caught at third by Machado for the first out of the inning. Machado took a look at first, but Holt back to the bag. 1 down.
And Machado's been very busy down at third base today, and a very good day defensively at third base. Sinking line drive that time that he handles with ease.
Xander Bogaerts 0 for 3. Takes strike 1. Xander is grounded out to third, popped out to short, and grounded back to the mound. They do not hold on Brock Holt at first base. Chris Davis playing in behind him. Grounded back to the mound. Garcia has trouble getting it out of his glove, so he'll take the out at first. Could have had a double play, but he was kind of backpedaling up the mound and had trouble getting it out of the glove. So he gets Bogaerts for out number 2.
Almost looked like he got stuck in the webbing of the glove that time, and he couldn't pull it out. A little tap back toward the mound. He goes in reaching for it and can't quite get the handle on it, and then almost threw it away at first base.
Oh, 2 down. Holt at second base for Sandy Leon. A base hit to center field his last time up. A 1 for 3 day. Takes strike 1. First game that Leon has ever appeared in at Camden Yards. That's a ground ball softly towards first. Davis going to need the pitcher to cover. Garcia does. And that ends the top of the 8th inning. Red Sox leave Holt at second and trail 18-4. came up with the idea of rewarding students throughout New England for their community service. This year, 120 college seniors will receive $1,000 college scholarships thanks to the Red Sox Foundation. Shane Victorino on the DL. We would like to use that camera if it's all right with you, Shane. Right now, leaning on it as he's not going to let go. No camera as we head to the bottom of the 8th inning.
No camera this inning.
No. Shane's going to fight him on it the entire way. A new pitcher on for the Red Sox, Edward Mujica, into the game for Boston. 6th pitcher used today by John Farrell, his 8th appearance of the year, 1-1 with a 4.70 earned run average, 6 strikeouts, a walk, and opponents hitting at .310 against Mujica. Everett Cabrera, Manny Machado, and David Lowe scheduled to bat here in the inning. In the innings in which the Orioles have batted around, the 3rd and 7th, they scored 6 times in each of those innings. And again have scored in every inning with the exception of the first. Wade Miley had a 1-2-3 12-pitch first inning. Since then, things have gone south. Craig Breslow went 2/3 of an inning, giving up 3 hits and 2 runs. Didn't walk anybody, struck out a batter. Foul off to the left, out of play. We last saw Mujica taking the loss, his first of the season, on Wednesday at Tampa Bay. This one grounded foul by the Red Sox dugout. Prior to Wednesday night's outing in Tampa Bay, he made 3 straight scoreless appearances, going 3 2/3 with opponents hitting at just 167 against him. High for a ball, 1-2. Mujica has allowed 3 home runs on the season out of the pen so far. Swinging a foul tip off the mask. Sandy Leon. Two and a pop-up foul off to the left, out of play. Bouncing in 2-2.
Split finger fastball again by Mujica. Throwing a couple of them in this at bat, mixing in his fastball splitter.
Line to left. Nava is there to make the catch on the liner for the first out of the bottom of the 8th inning. So Cabrera is retired. It brings up Manny Machado. Machado does not have a hit in this game, but has been on twice with 2 walks and has scored 2 runs. On a day when the Orioles have 19 hits in the game.
Seems like there's always somebody, right, Don?
Always works out that way.
You got 19, 20 hits in a game, and somebody's got an offer going.
4 have 3 hits in this game. Delman Young, Chris Davis, Jimmy Paredes, and Ray Navarro. Did he go? No. Says Chris Conroy, first base umpire. So it is 2-0. Fouled off the mask of Leon again. Second time in this inning.
Time a glancing blow off the side, and that's going to bring out John Farrell.
I wonder which is worse, the dead on
I don't know.
Hit or the side.
I don't know, and I don't want to find out.
No. 2 balls and a strike. A check swing, and it's 3-1. Machado swings away and lifts a pop up that Brock Holt. Now coming from right is Craig, and Craig calls off Holt, who goes down to a knee to get out of the way. Machado retired, 2 down. Like Brock had that under control, but out of nowhere comes Craig to call him off.
Yeah, it looked like Brock Holt had control of that, but the once to the outfield that calls you off, you've got to find a way to get out of the way. And they have control over those fly balls if they can get to them.
2 down here in the 8th, and David Lowe, last night's hero for the Orioles, with a home run off Koji Uehara in the bottom of the 10th inning. A walk-off win for the Orioles. 2 for 9 on the season for Baltimore. A liner to center field. There is hit number 20 of the day for Baltimore. Last night off Koji Uehara in the 10th inning. Knew it as soon as he hit it. Koji Uehara with the first blown save of the year, and then of course taking the loss as well. A 2-out base runner here for the Orioles, and here's Delman Young. Ground one softly towards short. Bogarts throws in time to get Young and to end the inning. We head for the 9th. It is 18-4 Baltimore. What your favorite dish at your favorite restaurant is. All you have to do is send a quick video or photo of your to die for dish and share Dining Playbook on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Just hashtag #TopNotch. (18-4) Baltimore on top of Boston as we head to the 9th inning. Some changes here for the Orioles. Jimmy Paredes now at third base. So Manny Machado done for the day. Paredes had been the DH for the Orioles, and he goes to third. Garcia's still in there for the Orioles. He came in the 7th, pitches the 8th, and starts the 9th against Mookie Betts. That's 0 for 4 in the game today. Left side, Paredes just into the game at third, and the throw off the mark, and they missed him on the tag on the way by. Davis tried to slap it on him after he came off the bag, but Betts will reach.
I would guess that would go as an error on Paredes at third base because he had the ball in plenty of time. But there's that wild throw, and it's not going to get the bag of Mookie Betts.
Lead runner on here for the Red Sox in the 9th. Here's Daniel Nava. Pinch ran for Dustin Pedroia in the 7th inning. Now bats for the first time. 194 average to begin the year for Nava. Nava takes ball 1 low. Bud Norris, the starter today for the Orioles, went 6 2/3, 7 hits, 3 runs. He's chased from the game after the 3-run home run by Pablo Sandoval in the 7th. But he pitched 6 shutout innings prior to that. Here's the strike on the outside corner. Norris will pick up his first win of the year. Came in at 0-2. Down and in almost hits Nava, who jumps ahead 2-1. Runner at first, nobody out in the Boston 9th inning. 18-4, Baltimore on top. Nava hits a fly ball to left field. Steve Pearce coming in and over on a slant, and makes the catch for the first out of the 9th inning. Back to the bag at first goes Betts with 1 down. Here comes Pablo Sandoval. On 3 times today. Walked in the first, walked in the third, flied out to center in the 5th, and then hit his first home run in a Red Sox uniform. A 3-run shot in the 7th. It took a while for Sandoval to get his first in a Red Sox uniform, but here today sending this one out of the yard, a 3-run shot. Now it's on a 2-0 pitch and slaps it foul off to the left out of play. Hanley Ramirez, who is also homer today. Sandoval and Ramirez going back-to-back in the 7th inning. Ball 4, and Sandoval walks. That is the second walk given up by Garcia since coming in. It's the third time that Sandoval has walked today.
Yeah, I wonder what the record is for walks for Sandoval in a game. Doesn't walk very much. Free swinger. With 3 walks today, including that home run.
2 on, 1 away, and Hanley Ramirez the batter. High drive, deep left for Hanley Ramirez, who is going to go deep for the second time today. A 3-run home run for Hanley Ramirez, his 8th of the year. And the Red Sox now trail 18-7.
Well, as I said before, last time he hit a home run, this time it's on a breaking ball. And he said in the clubhouse this morning he was going deep, and he's going deep twice. And he said, I want you to announce it when I go deep. I said, that's not my job. I don't do that. That's for the play-by-play guy.
You could just jump out there if you'd like and throw yourself out there.
No, absolutely not. But I think he's a little confused on which one's the play-by-play and which one's the color, you know. But he kept up his promise anyway. He's got a couple of them.
Runs 7 and 8 now for Hanley Ramirez, and the Red Sox still trailing 18-7 in this game. Mike Napoli now the batter with the bases empty and 1 down. Dave Wallace, the pitching coach, had gone out to talk to Garcia. They want him to finish this out. One-0 to Mike Napoli. Low for ball 2.
Asking about walks, about Sandoval. He's walked 3 times in a game, 5 times.
Wow. Big swing there for Napoli on the 2-0 pitch. Fastball away. Well, he comes to the inside corner. 2-2. Swing and a miss, and Napoli strikes out on the 94-mile-an-hour fastball. 2 down in the 9th.
And the fastball away from Napoli this time. A lot of time they've been coming inside against him and then sneaking one away. They pick up the strikeout that time.
Two down for Brock Holt, who has singled twice, walked twice. On base 4 times in the game as he takes strike 1. Just away. Two and 1. $18 runs, 20 hits, an error for the Orioles. 7 runs, 9 hits, and an error for the Red Sox. Fouled off to the left, out of play. I told you the Red Sox had 7 runs and 9 hits. You probably figured that'd be enough to get it done.
Yeah, if you look at the line score, you would say yes, right? For the Red Sox, 7-9. 1 error.
Still not close, though. 2-2 pitch. That'll miss for ball 3. $43,802 here today at 1 point. Ball 4, and Brock Holt is on base for the 5th time today. 3rd walk. It's also the 3rd walk Garcia's given up since coming in.
That's got to be frustrating for Showalter. I mean, you got to lead like you got, and you're walking 3 guys since coming into the ball game.
So Alan Craig gets a chance, and he'll take strike 1. Strike 2. Two down in the 9th inning. A 1-2 pitch to Alan Craig. Inside, almost hit Craig on the fastball. Darren O'Day getting up in the Orioles pen with some troubles here in the 9th inning for Garcia. He's given up a 3-run home run, couple walks in the inning. Now a 2-2 pitch. In the air to shallow right. Out goes Navarro. In comes Young. Delmon Young makes the catch, and that'll end the day as the Orioles beat the Red Sox big time here today. 18-7 is the final in this ball game, and the Red Sox dropped 2 out of 3 in Tampa Bay. They dropped 2 out of 3 here in Baltimore. So a 2-4 road trip for the Red Sox as they head home to welcome the Toronto Blue Jays. We send it to Tom Caron. TC.